great at something. This was in my head because I was watching the Tiger Woods doc on HBO. Did you see this, hot dog? They did the 2-part Tiger Woods doc.
I haven't seen it yet.
I got finessed. I didn't realize it was a hit piece. They made it seem like it wasn't a hit piece, but I truly felt like it was a hit piece because they spent like 5 minutes here talking about how awesome Tiger Woods was at golf. And they spent 5 minutes there talking about what an amazing comeback he had. And they spent 5 minutes here talking about how focused he was on the game and all this stuff. But realistically, the first part of the doc was an hour and a half about what a number his dad did on him and how no matter how good he ever was at golf, his dad told everybody he was going to be the next Jesus Christ. And you can't live up to the expectations of Jesus Christ. So he could never fulfill his ridiculously high expectations. So he's doomed for failure. And you're like, whoa.
Was the title of this documentary like the self-destruction of Tiger Woods?
Exactly. That's what I'm watching. And then the second part, it was all just, yeah, he likes to fuck. He's got a fucking problem. It's just everybody that he's hooked up with and how damaged he was, and then the drugs and everything, and you're watching it and you're like, yeah, like Tiger Woods went nuts for sure. First of all, I didn't realize until I watched all this golf footage from all the years of his career, Tiger Woods got massive. Tiger Woods got huge. I mean, physically, he got yoked. When he's like an older guy playing golf, you look at the size of that guy's arms, his shoulders, his chest. Tiger Woods, he started lifting at some point because he got real big. He was not I thought he kind of like had this reputation of being a geek in the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
But he was a big dude that was scoring with chicks by the end of it. Scoring with chicks. Look, I'm watching this thing, and realistically, his philandering ways, while it wasn't, morally the greatest thing in the world to do, and while I'm sure that his wife was extremely upset about it, and she should have been extremely upset about it, he didn't, if anything, the women that were on this thing were like, well, you don't understand. It would be one thing if it was a one-night stand, but Tiger treated us like we were his girlfriends. And I'm like,
good.
Doesn't that mean he's more of a human and like he's objectifying you less? They were, we played with our emotions. Yeah, okay, you didn't know he was married? I knew he was married. You didn't know this guy was married? You really thought he was going to take you to the prom? You're an adult.
You're Wikipedia'd it.
Yeah, or just realize I'm with the most famous person in the world. He just met me in Vegas, and I'm a showgirl. I'm probably not the only one. Also, he was like, they said he would get like call service, call girls, like escort service girls, and he would at sometimes order 10 at a time. If there's literally other girls in the room with you at the time, it's orgy season, okay? It's orgy season. Don't pretend like you thought this was gonna be forever. But like I'm watching, and like the more I'm watching it, the more I'm like, well, he didn't do anything that the rest of us should be upset about. He did stuff that his wife should be upset about, but not the rest of us. And I'm watching the people from golf like be judgmental, like we can't have this type of person on the golf course. You wouldn't have a golf course if it wasn't for Tiger Woods. He paid for the grass, okay? Like people watched golf and showed up and bought shit and spent their money and did all that because of Tiger. He changed the game. He had everybody watching. So
I can't name 5 golfers.
No.
I can't name 5 professional golfers.
Of course you can't. Because who cares about golf? Except Tiger's the man. I think golf is stupid. I think Tiger is the man. Because he's great at something. Because he dedicated himself to being really great at something, and he did it. And that's more of a story about the human condition. When you see a human being that is capable of achieving things in a field, regardless of what the field is, that you did not think was humanly possible, give that person their respect. And then they're going on the drug thing, right? They show the tape of him getting pulled over. They're like, oh my God. Can you believe Tiger Woods was on pills? Can you believe he needed Ambien to go to sleep? I'm like, bro, There were flash bulbs going off outside his house every day. Like, he probably was pretty stressed out about the whole thing. When Nike gives you $100 million to just be like, just be cool and be good at golf, you're like, that's a tremendous amount of pressure. Because at any point, Nike can be like, we're giving you $100 million. You should be giving us a little more. And you're like, it's a crazy, ridiculous amount of money. There's pressure that goes along with that. If you got to take an Ambien to go to sleep, fine. He also has been playing golf since he was 1 years old, okay? He's going to end up racking up some injuries. I know golf doesn't seem like the most athletic sport. Doesn't seem like the most athletic sport to me either. I don't understand how the game works. But I do know if you're playing any game from the time you're 1, then by the time you're an adult, you're probably going to rack up some injuries. You're probably going to do some damage to your body. And the idea of a professional athlete developing, especially several years ago, a professional athlete developing a dependence on opioids that started due to an injury, that started with painkillers, or that started after a surgery, or started like that. You hear those stories all the time. There are so many stories of people who got hooked on these pills because they were prescribed for them at first to recover from an injury. And then there was pressure on them. You got to compete. You got to compete. You got to compete. Okay, well, if I pop a couple of these, I'll be able to compete. And then you got to pop a couple of these just to feel regular. And now you're addicted, and a cop's pulling you over, and you got no idea where you are, and he asks you to recite the alphabet, and you think that he asked you to sing the national anthem backwards. You don't know what's going on anymore, man. You don't know what's going on.
He did it for us.
He did it
those were his sacrifices.
Yeah, he got paid too. He got paid too, and I mean, he had a lot of women. He got paid and he had a good time. Okay. All right, so it wasn't completely selfless. However, I want to live in a world where somebody can be that good at a thing. Can you imagine if you had the human potential to be that good at golf, and you were like, but let's not do it because TMZ might put out some bad things about me, or because I'm going to cheat on my wife a whole bunch of times and people are going to act like they can't believe it. They're outraged. No. Go forward. Be that good at golf because I want to see that a human being can be that good at something. We need to not feel like we need to tear people down to show our superiority. And then, oh my God, it drove me insane. They're talking to these people in the doc. And I'm like, man, how did they get Tiger's friends to talk to the camera in this documentary? And it wasn't until the last 20 minutes that they all tell stories about how Tiger cut them out of his life. And I went, that's when I knew I got finessed. That's when I knew they got me. They pulled the wool right over my eyes. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know that. You get this one woman, right? There's one girl, lady, person, female. And she's sitting there. And she's like, yeah, Tiger used to call me in like I was his shoulder to cry on. And then after all the cheating scandals, he stopped calling me and I don't know why. And I'm like, do you think maybe it was because he didn't want reports of him calling a strange woman that wasn't his wife? Do you think that maybe he probably stopped hanging out with other women for a while because if anyone caught a photo of it? Like, hot dog, you got to understand this guy's life. This guy, when I say he was stalked, do you know how the National Enquirer found out that he was having an affair with a Perkins waitress? This is a Perkins waitress. Do you know how they found out he was having an affair with the Perkins waitress?
How?
They were following him. They knew they saw him, they knew he was having the affair because they had been following him. They followed him until he picked her up one night in his car. They followed the car.
That was a good stakeout.
Yeah. They followed the car to a parking lot. They watched them have sex in Tiger's car in the parking lot. And then, I saw this in the documentary, the reporter, after the Tiger and the Perkins waitress had left, the reporter got out of his car and he took the used tampon that the Perkins waitress had thrown out the window. he took it out of the parking lot and he put it away so that they would have evidence. Do you understand that
doing?
This is the life that Tiger was, and that's just Tuesday. That somebody is going around collecting tampons behind him. This is the life that Tiger Woods was trying to live. Okay?
Let him pop his pills.
I mean, come on. You wouldn't need some pills if you were trying to, like, hook up with a waitress from Perkins and somebody was running around. Not only are they going to expose you and ruin your marriage, which means half your money and your family, your wife, your kids, it's embarrassing, but your sponsorship money, that's all your cash right there. You got to worry about somebody running around stealing tampons? Hot dog, you're not going to crack?
I mean, no, this is, again, like them focusing on this with Tiger. Didn't they spend like maybe like 30 minutes focusing on like Jordan's like gambling issue?
Well,
doing his thing. They do that for everyone. They need to
no. Because they spent 30 minutes focusing on that in a 10-hour documentary. Okay?
Okay.
That's okay.
This is completely.
Yeah. Jordan came out looking okay in The Last Dance. This one, they spent 10 minutes focusing on Tiger Woods' golf in a 3-hour documentary. And the rest of it. And then, his caddy starts talking. His caddy, he goes like this. He goes, well, Tiger wasn't playing. So I asked him, hey, can I caddy for my buddy while you're not playing? And Tiger goes, yeah, okay. And then he goes, 2 days before the game, Tiger's agent called me and said, Tiger's rethought it, and he doesn't want you caddying for this guy. And, you know, if you're going to do it anyway, Tiger says if you're going to caddy for him, for the other guy, for your buddy, you're not going to caddy for Tiger anymore. And you know what this fuck does? This guy who was like so betrayed by Tiger, he caddies for the other guy. Anyway, he does it anyway.
Oh, the nerve of Tiger.
And then,
how dare he?
Tiger warned him. And then, the quote that this caddy had, he goes like this. I mean, when Tiger fired me, I thought he was firing me from being his caddy, not being his friend. And it's like, what do I have to talk to you about? Look, hot dog, I'm not Tiger Woods of this. I mean, I'm getting there, but I'm not Tiger Woods. I'm not Tiger Woods of this yet. You know, if I had an Earl, if I had an Earl behind me, I might be there. But I'm not Tiger Woods of this yet. But if I told you, all right, hot dog, you want to go do some work for them, you go do some work for them, and then you got a call 2 weeks later from Jess, and she goes, hot dog. Sam said Sam changed his mind. If you work for them, he doesn't want you working for him anymore. And then you worked for them anyway? After you got the call? And then you had the nerve to go on HBO and be like, I don't understand what happened. Bro, I told you.
Texting me.
Yeah, I told you what was going to happen. And then, do you understand the fury I would have if you ever said anything like, well, when he fired me from being his producer, I didn't think he was going to fire me from being his friend. I'd be like, friend!
I thought you were so cool.
Yeah. What?
He doesn't even respond to my memes anymore.
Yeah. Like, what are we going to talk about? The time you used to caddy for me? Like, what? Fired from being his friend. Of course you're fired from being his friend. Come on.
What a hit piece.
I didn't like it. I was really annoyed by it. I was really, really annoyed by it. But I'm just like, just do a movie about how you could just talk about how Tiger Woods is amazing at golf. Hey, I know everybody focuses on the sex scandal, but do you see how unbelievable this guy is at golf? It's insane. And then talk about that.
He's famous for.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Be like, Chappelle got COVID. That reminds me. Let's watch some of his material. He's amazing. I hope he's feeling better. No. It's, well, why wasn't he wearing a mask? Yeah. And he says that we complain about everything. Maybe he should wear a mask. He's not so great. Cool, man.
It's not even that funny anymore.
Exactly. And then you're over here shaming people for Bernie memes. It's a terrible thing.